Hi, I'm Callie and welcome to Kapowski Reads, and this is my last Spookopoly vlog of this year. I'm also wearing a massive collar that when I put it on I thought it looked cute, and now I feel I look a little bit like a puppet or a clown. I'm not mad at it, but I don't know. That's neither here nor there. I am hoping to finish my way around the Spookopoly-thon board. That's the goal for this video, and also to read books that I love. That's the main goal. The second goal is get all the way around. So my first roll of this vlog, I'm gonna add roll, I don't even know what number we are. Oh, that means something. I'm sure that means something. Okay. That is dice roll. Dice roulette. I'm going to check what double ones mean and what number of pages I need. This might not be good. Okie doke. So, my dice roulette pages is going to be 6. I swear that I have never rolled this many doubles in my entire life. Like, is this a skill I can use somewhere? Sometimes I play that game where you roll dice and you have to match them to cards. Not Yahtzee. I think it's called like Roll for It. It's in a tiny little box. We play it with the kids sometimes and it's really fun. But I never have my doubles skill when I'm playing that game. Only when I'm doing this do I have the skill of getting multiple doubles. Anyway, I landed on a square that meant that I had to roll the dice again to come up with the number of pages of the book that I'm going to read. And because I had bad luck last time with my doubles, I'm just going to read 2 books for this prompt. So I need to read 2 books that are between 275 and 324 pages. First, I'm going to read The Rachel Incident by, I cannot remember the name of the author, but I will find out. I will remind myself when I come back to talk to you about it. This book is an audiobook, and I got a little message on my Audible saying that this book is coming off of Audible. It's on the free catalogue. It's taken off of Audible on the 28th, I think. So I want to read this book. I'd love to read it for free. I'm gonna read it. This is a coming of age story set in the 2010s, I believe, and I'm such a sucker for a coming of age story that takes place during a time period I have lived in. There's just something about that I'm like, yes, love it. So I'm going to go read that and come back and tell you when I've read it. Thoughts and feelings will be forthcoming. I have finished The Rachel Incident. It's by Caroline O'Donoghue. I unfortunately had forgotten the name of the author when I was saying I was going to read it. I loved this book. I'm not feeling very well today, which is why I look like this right now. I had to change out of my top that I'd spilled Lemsip all down because that's how my day is going. Hopefully it's just a cold, but I'm harnessing the power of Lemsip and soup because that will cure everything. So The Rachel Incident is set in Cork in 2010 and focuses on Rachel, Kel Surprise, but it mainly focuses on Rachel and her relationship with her best friend, James. They meet as 20-somethings in a bookshop where they work together, and the book focuses on this 1 year where they live together. The book is described as being about love, sex, friendship and betrayal, and that is the perfect description of this book. When I originally wanted to read this book, when I added it to my TBR, this was at the beginning of the year, and I thought this book was going to be like mildly chaotic. And that's why I added it to my list, but that wasn't the reason. The reason was this was a coming of age story during a time when I was the same age as the characters, and I found this book to be very oddly comforting. That sort of reassurance that, you know, when you're in your early 20s and you think you know everything, but at the same time you think you know nothing. It was that wonderful reassurance that you're not alone. There's other people that think the same way, and you're all just lost, and you're all just trying to find your way, and you're just hoping to find somebody to guide you, and you kind of have to guide yourself. I thought this was just an exceptional read. So the writing, first of all, the writing was gorgeous, so beautifully written. I loved the relationship between Rachel and James. It was toxic, yes, it was codependent, but it was also at the same time, it was beautiful and it was real. And I think that this book just felt like hearing a story from a friend. Rachel and James, I was like, yeah, my friends Rachel and James. I don't know them, but I felt like I did. The betrayal in this book, I didn't see coming. When it was revealed, I had no words. And I don't know anyone who's read this book. And I need people to read this book so that we can talk about the twist and be like, oh, did you know? Because I didn't know. I loved this. It was such a nostalgic read, and I really enjoyed sort of trying to manage student life, manage student finances or lack of, manage a part-time job, manage a social life, manage a romantic life, and try and have everything work at the same time, trying to juggle all of those, spin all of those plates. I love this. I am a sucker. I think I said it before, I'm such a sucker for a coming of age novel. And for me, if that coming of age novel is set during a period where I also was, you know, finding myself, which to be fair could be any period between, I don't know, being 5 and now. But I feel like in my 20s, I was a lost soul, and it just felt so nostalgic, and I absolutely loved it. I still love the friendship between Rachel and James. I loved Rachel as a character. I felt she was so likable, and yes, mistakes were made. Mistakes were made by every single person in this book. But at the same time, I feel like everybody kind of learned from their mistakes, which is that's the whole thing. It's fine to make mistakes, but if you learn from them, then that's all the better. I highly recommend this book to, I mean, everybody. If you enjoy some beautiful writing, if you want to read about some beautiful yet flawed characters, and if you want just a charming read, I think that this could be the one. It's a very quick read, and I feel like you can't help but be cheering on the characters while you're reading it, because you can see them. I mean, maybe this is the thing. That's why I like a nostalgic book or a coming of age book, is that you can see the mistakes they're making, and you can see the paths they're taking, and with this beautiful benefit of hindsight that you have with like your adult brain, you can be like, no, learn from my mistakes, don't. But they're characters in a book. They're not real. They can't hear you. You can't help them. And if they were real, I'd have been the same age as them at the time when all of these events took place, and I was just as lost as they were. I need to read more books by this author. When I was logging this on Goodreads, I saw that I have another book that I want to read by this author. I actually think I have 2. I want to read, they have a series that's kind of magical and whimsical, and I really, really want to read that series. And this author's writing is just fantastic. I am very grateful to everybody who was raving about this book, I think last year, and I was late to the party, and I wish I wasn't, because I had a fantastic time with this book. I'm going to finish up now because I can feel my throat going, and I just want to put a big, like, horrible looking gross t-shirt on. It's clean, but it's old, so it looks gross. I just want to have a nice relaxing afternoon because I'm just stupid germs. The next book I'm going to be reading is Piglet by Lottie Hazel, and I'm not 100% sure what this book is about, so I will tell you when I also tell you how I got on with it. I don't remember what it's about. I'm so bad, but I'll tell you in a bit when I'm feeling better. have now finished reading Piglet. It's really dark right now. This is what happens when you live in the northeast of Scotland and the clocks have gone back. It got pitch black at like 4:20 this afternoon. So I have all the lights on, but I still kind of look a little like I'm sitting in the dark. So Piglet is about our protagonist, who is, I would say, lovingly referred to with the nickname of Piglet. She is 31 and she's about to get married, and she is, I don't even think the word foodie would accurately describe her. She is obsessed with food. She has got a hunger that cannot be satiated, like a hunger for food. And this book covers the lead up to Piglet and Kit's wedding. In my head I was calling him Kit Kat, just because there's a lot of food mentioned, and yeah, that's where I went. In the lead up to this wedding, Kit, he has a confession, and Piglet kind of spirals from there, and we then kind of deal with the fallout of this revelation. I didn't know how I felt about this book initially. I don't know if I'm super cemented in my rating of this book. I gave it 2 stars, which feels harsh. I really liked the chaos of this book, the chaotic energy of Piglet, but I couldn't help but feel that this book had like, I know that Piglet was really into food. It's how she dealt with her emotions, it's how she dealt with, like, everything was linked back to food. And I knew this going in, but I was still kind of surprised by the number of references to food that there was in this book. Like, I expected there to be a lot, and there were even more than that. A lot of croquembouche talk, which reminded me of a friend who they made their own wedding croquembouche, and it turned out just beautifully. So I actually felt just really proud of my friend for making their wedding croquembouche with more success than Piglet. I would have really liked to have known what Kit did, because we don't find out what Kit did. And I suppose, like, I came to my own conclusions regarding what he did, but I think that it would have been nice to have known for certain, because as a reader, seeing the reaction that Piglet has is kind of hard to gauge. You know, well, what did he say? Like, did he tell you like a small confession, or was it a massive confession? Like, how do I know if the reactions from everybody are as to be expected, or if they're a little bit more or less than you would think? I kind of felt a little lost. I really appreciated the fact that we never got a physical description of Piglet. We don't find out her name till the end, so I will refer to her as Piglet, because that's what she calls herself and what everybody calls her. I liked not knowing her physical description, because that way it didn't feel, we didn't know for certain that this nickname was like a punching down situation. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's a nice nickname to have. I thought that most of the characters in this book were awful. There were a lot of very uncomfortable moments as a reader to read the interactions between Piglet and her friends and her family. And without knowing what Kit did, you can't quite work out if the friends' reaction to the fallout, like, how do I gauge that? Because I don't know. Has he just said that he doesn't like pineapple on pizza, or has he said that he has a secret child? These are 2 very different confessions. And, you know, the friends are reacting as if it's more along the lines of the secret child kind of thing, but you don't know. I kind of hated the interactions between Piglet and her family. They made me feel really just sad. And I feel like if it's your wedding day, people have to be nice to you on your wedding day. You should be nice to people anyway, unless they're mean to you. But, like, generally, like, you know, it's nice to be a nice person. But I felt like the way that her parents acted when with the wedding dress, it made me so upset and just so uncomfortable, and it felt really cruel, and I didn't like it. I would have loved a bit more character development, like who was Piglet, other than a lady who really enjoyed Waitrose and cooking and just food and consuming. Who was she other than that? Who was Kit, other than this person who did something that may be awful but may not be that awful? I don't know. I just felt like I read a book but there was no real story, and that's kind of sad for me. However, I do have to say I love books that are like vibes, not plot. And books that do, you know, lack a little on character development, but they make up for that in atmosphere. And I feel like this book didn't, but I think it tried to, but it just didn't. I was just left really disappointed from this book, and I'm so hungry. The sheer volume of references to food just made me think, what am I gonna cook? I listened to this on audio and I made soup and I roasted a squash and a tiny little munchkin pumpkin, so it was very sweet. But I added all the spices in my cupboard and it was delicious. And that's gonna be my lunch for the week. It was such a good choice. I'm gonna do a little bit of baking later as well because this book made me want something pastry-ish. All of those references to croque and bouche, I'm not making a croque and bouche. I don't make pastry. Nigella doesn't make pastry and she's really good at cooking and I'm just okay. So I have the good people at, oh, I think it's just Sainsbury's on Make. I have the good people at Sainsbury's who make my pastry. I'm gonna make like pumpkin shaped puff pastry things with some pesto and maybe some feta if I have feta, and they're gonna be delicious. But no, this book, not the success I hoped for. I did do another roll, which I'm gonna add here. Try again. 3. 1, 2, 3. My first community shelf. Favorite author. Yay. And I got community chest, which was my first community chest. I made the tiny little cards and it didn't even matter because I didn't need them, but I got favorite author. And I don't know what I'm gonna read for this one. I'm kind of toying between, I have a Silvia Moreno Garcia book that I haven't read, which is upstairs. I could read an Agatha Christie. I haven't read any Agatha Christie this month or last month. Kind of failing at my reading goals right now. I'll let you know. I mean, the book cover will be on the thumbnail. There's no surprises here, just for me right now, because I don't know, but you do. I will bake, I will eat, and I will read, and then I'll come back. Anyway, hi, I'm feeling better. Yay! And I have finished my next role, which was to read a favorite author. And I kind of twisted it and I went with an author that I think could be a favorite, purely because I was kind of limited with regards to what to read, and I didn't feel in the mood for an Agatha Christie, and I didn't feel in the mood for The Seventh Veil of Salome by Silvia Moreno Garcia. So I tweaked it. Oh well. And I went with Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn. I think Anna Dorn is going to be one of my new darlings, and if this book is anything to go by, yes. So I had previously read Exalted by this author, and I kind of declared, maybe a little bit too boldly, that I think I'm going to love Anna Dorn. And this is my second book by her, and it's my second 5-star. I loved this. This book is about an author who has been recently cancelled because of a comment that they made, and she is returning back to her writing group and starts a sort of dalliance with one of the other members of this quite exclusive writing group. Astrid also finds herself having a new neighbour called Penelope, and things start to happen. Additionally, Astrid is in a really fortunate position where she has sold the film rights or the adaptation rights to one of her novels, and everything on paper should really be coming up a bit Millhouse, but Astrid, she's on a wee bit of a descent into chaos. My hope going into this book was that I was going to get chaos, and I got it. I, first of all, just have to say, all of the characters in this book, with the exception of perhaps Sophie, who is Astrid's bestie, so all of the main characters are awful. They're all awful. Astrid has an addiction, multiple addiction issues. Astrid is selfish. She is flaky. She's very abrasive. She does not think before she speaks. And she's very, very opinionated, which makes her a fantastic character to read about. Penelope, her neighbour, has no boundary, no awareness of boundaries. And instantly I was like, oh, I almost felt like I was kind of feeling sorry, sympathetic towards Astrid and her new neighbour. But then I sort of thought, well, you're both kind of quite similar. The relationship between Astrid and one of her fellow writers, Ivy, was just so juicy. This book felt just so full of pop culture references. It was so witty. It was so super fast paced, and it was just chaos at its absolute best. Astrid has her own concoction, shall we say, to really keep her pepped, which she calls Patricia Highsmith, which I absolutely loved. And so Astrid finds herself on these sort of benders, and I really liked the sort of mixture between reality and what is happening during Astrid's blackouts. Even though Astrid was not a likeable character, I couldn't help but kind of root for her a little. I wanted her to get better. I wanted her to be in a good place. I wanted her to have functional relationships with people, because that's what she kind of wanted to have herself. I really liked the sort of little nods to different pieces of literature from this book. I think a really fun activity going forward perhaps could be to reread this and maybe read every book that is mentioned, or a book by every author mentioned in this. I think that would be really fun, and I think I would quite like to do that one day. Anna Doran's writing is definitely my kind of writing. It is very fast-paced, very witty, very quotable. I think this book is it's going to be a firm favourite. It's a contender for me for one of my books of the year. I feel I loved this a smidgen more than Exalted, but just because some of the characters in this book, they felt really real. They felt very, very familiar, and that could just be the part of me that loves reality TV and loves trashy reality TV. Like, the more chaos, the better. And I think that this book really encapsulated everything I wanted, and I'm just very happy. I can also confirm that my pumpkin pastries were absolutely delicious. I was a little bit worried that the pumpkin pesto, because it's chili, was maybe going to be a little too spicy, or maybe not go with the feta quite as well, but it was delicious. I am very proud of myself. They will be gone very, very quickly. I do not think that I'm going to have time to do another book roll. My goal was to finish my board, like one round around the board, but it is currently Monday, and I know I'm not wearing my Monday dress because I'm working from home. I did do another roll, and it ended up on a nostalgic read, and I just won't have time to fit that book in before the end of October. I simply don't have the time.
I also had a little look to see what books I had that could maybe work for that prompt, and they were all quite long. I wish I had left a point hoarder. That book would have been perfect. I could easily fit one of those in. So I think I'm going to end the vlog here. Spookopoly has been the greatest fun. It always is. And I'm just really grateful to Becca for creating this and sharing it because it's just the best. Let me know if you've been joining in and if you've read any of these books. Let me know how you got on with them. They could be a bit of a Marmite selection. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.